Hi, welcome to LaTabella, the table, our family's table.
We're excited to bring you our second season of LaTabella. Hope you enjoy it as much as we enjoy doing it for you. Today we're going to prepare a pasta dish, pasta with cauliflower. It's a unique dish. And Phyllis is going to make
Jumbo meatballs. Was served them this past winter when I stayed down in Florida at an Italian restaurant. It said on the menu that they were made with lamb, and I'm trying as best as I can without a recipe to replicate what I remember that they tasted like. And certainly the presentation is dramatic because they're quite a bigger and than what you would normally be served in a restaurant or even at home. So we're hoping that you like what we've prepared.
Let's get cooking.
I'm ready to prepare the mixture for the meatballs. And I'm first going to use some ground lamb. I went to my local butcher shop this morning and he got me some nice pieces of lamb and he ground it fresh, so it really looks really nice. Now some people don't care for lamb, they feel like it's a very strong taste, so I'm kind of winging on how much lamb ratio to beef. And I kind of did a 60-40 just for the demonstration of this part of the show. And this is a beef, and I'm going to be putting that inside here and incorporating it in with the lamb. And I'm going to add some, thank you, you're such a helper.
It's me, I'm the helper.
I've decided I'm going to use a little bit of spinach, and that's maybe a half a cup or so of chopped spinach. You can use fresh or frozen. I happen to use frozen this morning. And I'm going to use about a cup of breadcrumbs. These are flavored breadcrumbs, but you could use plain. This is some chopped up onion that Mario did for me this morning and spared me my crying every time I seem to peel an onion. Thank you. And some grated cheese, maybe a quarter cup. Well, yeah, between a quarter and a half a cup. Depends on how much cheese you like. As I said, I'm just guessing from the flavor of what I tried at this restaurant and trying to duplicate it. So I'm just gonna see, it's gonna be a surprise. This happens to be just a bunch of chopped fresh herbs. I'm using a combo of fresh mint that I found growing in the garden this morning, surprise, surprise, and some fresh parsley. And that's maybe a quarter cup.
Also growing in the garden.
Yeah, that was good. I'm surprised. And then I'm going to use two more things. I've got some salt and pepper here, maybe a half a teaspoon. Actually, that doesn't look like enough salt. I think I'm going to add some more salt to it. Could I have that, please? Thank you. So I think I'm going to have altogether about a half a teaspoon of salt altogether. And one beaten egg.
Two eggs.
Oh, 2 eggs, thank you. Sorry for that correction. But if you want to really follow the recipe, you can check it out later on Facebook. I'll give you all the exact ingredients. And then I'm just going to incorporate all this together. I'll probably just do it with my hands, mix it all together. It's just so much easier. So I've got my meat mixture. And what I'm going to do first is just cut it in half. I already said just give it a karate chop. I don't think I have enough power to get it all the way through.
Pretends it's me.
Right. Because I said I was making jumbo meatballs, I'm going to make, out of this, believe it or not, I'm just going to get 4 meatballs. Now, normally I'd probably be able to get a dozen if I made small ones. But this is going to be 4 anyway, so. And I've got the oven preheating. What, did you put it on for me, dear?
I did, 500.
500, okay. Which will make it nice, it'll make it nice and hot, and we'll let them brown for maybe 10 minutes. I'll keep checking them every 5 or 6 minutes. And this is what I was most impressed about, which is why I wanted to try to duplicate this. When they brought, the presentation of this dish, when they brought it to me, was just amazing. I had never seen a meatball this big. It was quite impressive. And I said, oh, I've got to go home and try to make these.
pop these in the oven, 500 degrees, as we said. High heat, so it browns nice and gets kind of crispy on the outside, but it's still not cooked in the middle. And then we're going to finish cooking them in a gravy, a mushroom gravy, that we're going to prepare next. Okay, we're going to begin the gravy for the meatballs. We're going to collaborate on this. Phyllis is trying to duck out on me. She's trying to dump it all in my lap. But we're going to keep her here on camera working with me. First thing I want to do, it's a mushroom gravy. And Phyllis is going to slice up some mushrooms. These are baby Bella mushrooms purchased from our local supermarket. They were on sale. As I mentioned last year, we use a lot of extra virgin olive oil. I'm going to show you the label so you'll see the brand. Cut the name off. You won't know what it is. You may recognize it. Just pick the one that works for you, the one that you like best. It's important to get the right taste. Taste that suits your taste buds. Feels like it's warm enough, so we're going to toss it in. I'm not going to put salt in yet because I am putting in pepper, freshly ground pepper, from one of my many, many pepper mills. It's one of those things I'm obsessive about collecting these things. I'm told by some that if you put salt in at the beginning, then it'll draw out a lot of the moisture inside the mushrooms out a little too quickly, and because that's what salt does. And then the mushrooms poach rather than saute. And the water that comes out that the mushrooms are sitting at gets to be 212 degrees, and that's not warm enough to brown the mushrooms. So we want to brown them. That's when you get the best flavor, caramelized. Okay, I'm going to shut this off and move these.
What do you think? How do you like my new mix? I bought these down in Florida this year. Put it in this stuff.
She's crazy.
They're so adorable, huh? Don't love them? My grandson, Jack, loves this one. And I think you have to go sort of this way. See? Yeah, there it goes. But I thought they would be fun. You have to make cooking fun. So if you're out shopping and you happen to see something that suits you or catches your fancy, and if it's not too expensive and in your budget, get it. Life is way too short. Have fun.
Okay, so we've taken the mushrooms out because we'll add them back after we finish making the gravy. I'm not a big fan of gravy. I don't do a lot of gravy cooking, so we're going to be using some things that I wouldn't normally use here, but keep our fingers crossed. Okay, we're going to go with some stock, and I bought Rachel Ray's beef flavored stock. I don't normally give plugs to products, but I did this one because I think it tastes. Uh-oh, stand back! Cover the camera. This one's going to splash. I'm going to lower that a little bit. It does tend to heat up pretty quickly, so I apologize for the delay. So the stock is burning off. It's evaporating the water, concentrating the flavor, and that's a good thing. You just don't want it to have it happen that quickly. And we have what? Phyllis made 4 meatballs. So we're going to make enough gravy for that. And you watch the chefs on TV. I watch a lot of cooking shows and chefs on TV, and they say stuff like Worcestershire sauce adds a good beefy flavor. Rachel's stuff is pretty good, but I'm going to add a little bit. This is not the brand Worcestershire. It's not. It's a pick-a-pepper. It's a vegetarian version. of Worcestershire sauce. Stir that up a little bit. And all good cooks need to taste as they go. Add a little salt. Add a little now. Oh. Okay, here's my latest gadget. It's flat when you need flat, and it's balloon when you need balloon. How about that? I don't hear any applause.
Don't forget your flour mixture.
I won't. Could use a little more salt. Another thing, like I said, I don't make gravy, but Phyllis's family made a lot of gravy, and they used Gravy Master. I never used Gravy Master.
Who doesn't know Gravy Master? Memories. It's all about memories.
All right.
Since
You
I was
smell
a kid,
it?
my mother had that in the corner of her cabinet.
And what does the Gravy Master do?
Well,
Darkens it, gives it flavor.
it does. It's got some, I think, cooked down, concentrated veggies in it too, so it gives it some flavor.
I'm not going to read the ingredient list.
No.
All right, so we put that in. We got salt, we got pepper. This is another gadget. I bought this for Phyllis. She was complaining about every pepper mill we had in the house. She said, "I got arthritis. I can't turn it anymore." Check it out. You always need salt and pepper. The other flavor enhancers. And now to thicken it up. The batch earlier today, I made a roux, similar to what folks in Louisiana may make if they were making a gumbo. A thick roux. I cooked it long time, got it dark. Kind of tricky. If you leave it on too long, then it gets burnt pretty quickly, and you got to throw it off. So on camera, I decided to take the coward's way out, and I'm going with cornstarch and water. Tablespoon of cornstarch and maybe 2 tablespoons of water. I don't know if those are good proportions. We'll find out. Stir it up because it wants to clump in the ramekin here, and then as we going to raise the heat a little bit, and we're going to let that bad boy cook. And as it cooks, it thickens. The cornstarch will thicken the gravy. I hope.
I always find when you use cornstarch, it takes longer to thicken. Than when you do flour. I don't know why. There must be some.
Well, the roux actually, I thought the roux came out really good today that I made for the big batch that we made earlier.
You use cornstarch, right? You use flour.
Correct, right? But it's hard to work. You have to know what you're doing, and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just a home cook now. Hopefully that'll do it.
I want to interrupt you for a second, Mara. I'm going to just show them. I just took these meatballs out.
Oh.
They've been browning for maybe 10 minutes. But I put them, I wanted to tell you when I had forgotten earlier, that I put them on a little bit of parchment paper. I had done some earlier, and I forgot parchment on. And it just makes cleanup that much more difficult. So putting the parchment on simplifies the task of cleanup, and I'm all about making it easier on yourself. So, and these look pretty good. I'm gonna let them cool down a little bit, and then we'll finish simmering them in the brown sauce a little bit. I'll put on the other side now of the way. They smell fabulous.
And we're going to add back the mushrooms that we sauteed a bit earlier. It's a dark, rich sauce. It's that Gravy Master. I think we're going to shut that off. We're going to add this to the meatballs in a casserole pan.
I just chose this casserole pan just for the size for these particular four. I didn't want to stack them, I just wanted them to be all in one layer at the bottom. So I'm going to have Mario line the bottom with his mushroom gravy. I'm going to add the meatballs, and then we'll let them slowly cook in the oven for maybe 45 minutes or so, or 300, no more than 300. I think it'll be fine.
We need a spoon for that. All right.
The gravy doesn't have to cover the whole meatball, because if it's covered in the slow cook oven, it's going to retain the moisture and still cook and be fine. So you'll have that flavor incorporate the meat with the gravy. It's going to be wonderful. I hope.
I don't know if you can see that in the camera. I'll lift it up so you can get a look. Pop this in the oven. Take a little break while we do that, and we'll be back shortly. All right, we're back and ready to begin the pasta course. Pasta with cauliflower. I'm going to start by taking some pine nuts, pinoles, and we're going to dry roast them in a dry saute pan. You have to be careful when you do this because they want to burn pretty quickly. Dry toasting them brings out some of the oils from inside the nut. You can do this, you should do this with any kind of a nut that you're going to use to cook with. It enhances the flavor. The danger is if you cook it too long on too high a heat, and then it burns. So I'm going to take that off and set it aside, and we'll be back to that. Cauliflower. The thing about this dish that intrigued me is when I first saw the recipe, it was in a cookbook my nephew Richard gave me, and it's a pasta with cauliflower. It's a dish. This recipe in this cookbook talked about it as being from the regions of Apulia in Italy and Basilicata. They're side by side. They're in southern Italy. If you look at the map of Italy and you see a boot, Apulia runs from the heel of the boot up north to around the Achilles tendon along the Adriatic coast. Basilicata is next and is west of Apulia, and again, looking at a boot, it encompasses the arch, the instep, and part of the front of the ankle. So there you go, little anatomy class. And it was the simplest thing, because what they do is they take a head of cauliflower. This is one head of cauliflower, cut it into florets. We just cut these off the stem. Wasn't anything very complicated. A couple of these pieces are a little big, so I'm going to cut them down so they match the others. Nothing fancy. And this goes into the pasta water, and for about 2 minutes before we put the pasta in. And so as it cooks, it imparts its cauliflower flavor into the water. Some people don't like cauliflower. They say yuck. It's going to be delicious because it comes out with the final dish, when the pasta and the cauliflower are cooked together, comes out with this delicate buttery flavor. It's really, it's well worth the effort. I suggest you try it. I have since seen other versions of this dish seem to be influenced maybe by the North Africans, because we have things like pine nuts, raisins, anchovies in the dish, and that suggests to me that maybe that comes from Sicily. I once had hosted a dinner for some colleagues from France, and during a trade show in New York City, and I'm hosting a dinner, planning a dinner in New York City from people from Paris who are accustomed to the finest food money can buy. So I picked a restaurant in New York that Gourmet Magazine said was the best. And they made a version of this dish, and they use, that's where I first saw it, with the raisins, breadcrumbs, parsley, garlic, anchovy, and bring these bad boys back over here, pinoli. The pan is hot, so I have to keep moving it. So I'm going to make what we'll call the Sicilian version with all of these flavors. But you should try the simple version. And plus, it's very vegetarian and vegan friendly. You take out stuff like cheese, butter. You use olive oil. All of this is all vegetable based, with the exception of the anchovies. They can be omitted, and you got yourself pretty sophisticated meal. So I'm going to get these into the pasta water, and then we'll be back and finish up this dish. All right. We're going to begin the sauce for the pasta. What I did while we were away is I put the cauliflower into the boiling water, and that's going to sit in there for about 2 minutes, and then we're going to add the pasta to it and cook both together until it's done. This is going to be our sauce. This is the liquid to the sauce. Sorry about that if you're watching calories. It's quite a bit of olive oil, but we're going to need that for all that we're doing. Unique thing about this sauce is olive oil. Make sure it's warm enough. Needs to be a little warmer. Needs to be a little more olive oil. And we're going to toast some breadcrumbs. This is not breadcrumbs from the supermarket. This is a couple of slices of stale Italian bread. It's about half a cup. And we're going to brown this up. Let me turn the heat up a bit more here, so we get a nice toast on these breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs are soaking up that olive oil, making breadcrumb goodness. This is stuff that they eat up in Olympus, Mount Olympus, the gods. Is that where they live, the gods? Greek gods, Mount Olympus? This is not a Greek dish. Well, maybe, I don't know, could be. So we're going to toast this up till it gets nice and toasty and brown. Going to turn the heat up to a little bit higher. And now we're going to start to add some of the other ingredients. 1/4 cup of raisins. I'm using golden raisins that, pardon me while I drain some of this liquid out. Pardon my back. Golden raisins that have plumped up in warm water. 2 cloves of garlic that have been finely minced. I have them in a little bit of olive oil, a little more olive oil. I'm going to mix all of that up. And you say to yourself, that's the sauce? A bunch of breadcrumbs with some olive oil and garlic? That's the sauce. And you're going to like it. I'm going to chop up 2 anchovies. You want to rinse these, get the salt off of them, and going to slap those in there. If you don't like anchovies, they're optional. You can eliminate them. I wouldn't. I love the flavor. Okay, now we're going to toss in some salt. We're going to have quite a bit of pasta. We're feeding quite a few people, so it may look like I'm adding a lot of salt, but it's going to need to be spread out a long way. Freshly ground pepper. I'm going to shut that off. Sticking a little bit to the pan, that's okay. We're going to adjust for that. This is freshly ground, freshly chopped parsley from Phyllis's garden. And we're going to add in the pinoli. I just like to say the word pinoli. After we add this to the pasta, we may need to reserve some of the pasta water and thin this out a little bit so that it's manageable with the pasta. But doesn't look like much, but you're going to love it. So let me get back to the cooktop, the gas cooktop in the back of the kitchen. Finish up the pasta and the cauliflower, and we'll put this all together for you. Okay, we cooked the pasta with cauliflower, cooked them together in a pasta pot here, as you can see. Dump that out. Hopefully everything's done. If it's not, I'm going to eat it raw. I don't care, it looks good. And the so-called sauce, breadcrumbs, olive oil, pinoli, raisins, anchovy, salt, pepper,
Did you save a little
garlic.
water? Pasta
Yes, I
water?
did.
Okay.
I saved actually I saved a pot of pasta water. That's the benefit of the pasta pot. It's always there for you. I'm going to dress this up a little bit. I think we might need a little bit more olive oil. The danger of putting the pasta water in, if it needs it too soon, is it makes the breadcrumbs soggy. And who wants soggy breadcrumbs? Grated cheese, fresh chopped parsley. All right, get those appetites ready. Pasta with cauliflower, great dish, done in a more of a Sicilian style with all of the accoutrements.
What do you
that
think is
give
the
it flavor.
best cheese to use?
I make my own. I buy
Don't
blocks
make your own
of.
cheese.
I have, but no. I make my own blend. I buy a good Asiago, a good Parmigiano Reggiano, and a good Pecorino Romano. And I mix the three together, and I'm trying to say it like Giada would. That's for Betty's benefit, I say that. And grind it up in a food processor. And, texture's not the same as what Kraft does, but pretty good.
Okay.
Pasta with cauliflower. Picked this pasta because it was my dad's favorite pasta. No other reason. I would use a kind of a short tubular pasta. Maybe rigatoni might be a little solid, but something like that. Ziti. Oh, that's good. You made?
My meatballs, my lamb and beef combo meatballs. But as I had mentioned earlier, you could use any kind of meat combination. You could use pork, veal, or just all beef. It's whatever your family prefers.
Enough talking, let's get eating. Thank you for watching us. We love doing this for you. We love to cook for family and friends. Tune in and watch us as often as you can. I hope you enjoy it as much as we enjoy doing it for you. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Buon appetito and
Buon
ciao.
appetito. Ciao.